Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In today's video we will be reviewing this 2011 Nissan Pathfinder. Now I know that this review might certainly not be one of the more exciting reviews, but this vehicle is actually my family's SUV. This vehicle is sort of, our daily beater, or vehicle that is used for day-to-day use, getting the groceries, stuff like that. And I'm going to tell you guys why I love this vehicle, why it's very dependable, it's very versatile, and I just think it's awesome in my opinion. So this 2011 Pathfinder is actually a silver edition. That's its trim level, as you can see from the badge right here. Now this is one of several different trims on this vehicle that are all offered under this specific model year. Now during 2011, this SUV was actually offered in the SV trim, which was actually the most popular trim, the S trim, the LE trim, and obviously this silver trim. Now the one very major difference that I found when researching the several different trim levels is that the LE V8 trim is actually the only trim that comes with a different engine. Now that trim comes with a 5.8 liter naturally aspirated V8 engine. Now this trim and all the other trims of the 2011 Pathfinder actually just come with a 4 liter naturally aspirated V6. Now we're going to be diving more in depth to that engine in a second, but let me just dive right into the exterior of this vehicle. Alright, so this specific Pathfinder definitely has more than a few dings and dents in it because we've used it a lot over its driving life. But I do really like this basic design of the body. It is very, very simple. It's pretty boxy. I know some people might not like it, but honestly I prefer an SUV or truck designed like this one compared to some of the newer ones that manufacturers tend to try and make look more sleeker, I guess, or more like sports cars. Now one really perfect example of this is actually the new Mustang Mach-E that Ford is coming out with. Now that is quite literally a perfect example of a manufacturer literally combining a vehicle with sports car heritage into an SUV, crossover, or even truck for that matter. Needless to say, I'm definitely not a fan of designs similar to the Mustang Mach-E or sleeker SUVs. But anyways, to get back onto the topic of this specific Pathfinder's exterior, this is actually the factory color navy blue metallic. Now when researching this actually came as a surprise to me, because basically the entire time my family has owned this vehicle, I personally always considered this color to be lighter than a quote-unquote navy blue. Now I have, however, always noticed the metallic aspect of the paint. Now it is actually something that I really like about this vehicle, and it looks absolutely awesome when it is clean, unlike right now. Now it just started raining. Obviously the video is not really going to do it too much justice, but you just got to take my word for it. When it's clean, you definitely do see the metal flake, I guess, in the paint job, and it definitely looks fantastic. Now another pretty cool feature, at least in my opinion, is on this exterior is this very small vinyl double pinstripe that runs along both sides of the vehicle. Now also, if you look on the top of the roof here, you can see our kind of homemade wooden roof rack that actually helped me a lot while I was working for a painting company last summer, transporting ladders. Now just a quick disclaimer, I definitely do not recommend doing this. This is not a proper roof rack at all. It is simply something that I basically just did for a short time period. It's something that's temporary. Obviously you can see the bungee cords right now. It's not the best of things. Now the roof rack that does come with this SUV from factory is definitely not one of the best roof racks that I've seen. But yeah, I just wanted to add that in there because definitely do not try and copy what I kind of did up there, because that could end very badly for you. Alright, so real quick before we actually move on from the exterior, I'm just gonna mention some measurements here. So the length from factory of this 2011 Pathfinder is actually 192.3 inches. The width is 72.8 inches. The height is 72.6 inches. The wheelbase is 112.2 inches with a ground clearance of 8.9 inches. And the front and rear track measurements are both 61.8 inches. And the 2011 Pathfinder also has a curb weight of 4,779 pounds, a maximum towing capacity of 6,000 pounds, and a maximum payload capacity of 1,047 pounds. Sorry about that. But yeah, after just looking back at those numbers, just looking at the towing capacity and the payload capacities, you can definitely see why this is definitely a very good and dependable work vehicle. You can transport a lot with it. Now, yes, it's an SUV, yes, it's a family car, whatever. It's not a pickup truck or anything like that, but it definitely gets the job done, especially if you're just, you know, normal family. You might have some projects going back and forth from Home Depot, stuff like that. Now, the suspension for this vehicle is actually a completely independent design in both the front and the rear. Now, also on both sides of the front and the rear, Nissan actually went with a double wishbone style for their struts all around the vehicle, as opposed to the more popular McPherson style struts that you typically see. Now, if you aren't too familiar with the double wishbone suspension, the design actually has both vertical and upper and lower control arms, which boost the negative camber while you are driving. And as a result of that, the vehicle, a vehicle with this suspension actually has a lot better stability on the road because the tires are actually touching the road more. Now, another two advantages of this double wishbone design is that your wheel alignments actually remain more consistent, as well as your steering. Now, taking a look under the engine bay here, we can see the 4-liter naturally aspirated V6 that I mentioned earlier. Now, this engine has 4 valves per cylinder. It's a double overhead cam V6 that runs off of, you know, just regular pump gasoline, making 266 horsepower, brake horsepower, excuse me, at 5,600 RPMs and 288 foot-pounds of torque at 4,000 RPMs. Now, Nissan actually states that this 2011 Pathfinder with this specific engine has 14 miles per gallon during city driving and 20 miles per gallon during highway driving, with a combined 16 miles per gallon. Now, when I actually was doing research on this, I was actually pretty surprised when I heard those numbers. I thought it would be higher because, you know, looking at these numbers, they are not very impressive, but you do have to keep in mind that this is fairly efficient in my opinion, when considering that it is a larger displacement V6 and it is being combined with a 5-speed automatic transmission, which, by the way, is the only available transmission for all the trims of this specific year Pathfinder. Now, as we shift gears here and head into the interior of this vehicle, you can notice right away that both rows of these back seats are down, but this is actually the setup that my family and I normally use it on. Now, there's not much that you guys are really missing with the seats being down right now, honestly. I mean, this first back row here, it comes up and it definitely has a decent amount of room and can definitely comfortably fit 3, which it's designed to do. Now, the very back row is definitely a lot more tighter, but it can still technically fit 2 people. But it would certainly be a tight squeeze if you were to test out the maximum seating capacity of 7 people. Now, one main thing that I want to touch upon before heading to the front is that I really like how you can actually raise or lower every single seat, like every single individual seat. Now, that I think that really adds to the versatility and customizability of this vehicle. I mean, I'm an only child. Normally my parents are, you know, in the front seats if I'm not driving, and I'm in that back seat right there. And we have all this room to either, you know, go shopping. Again, if we have to move something, if we have a project at the house or whatever, we have all this room available to us. So that's one thing that I definitely like that Nissan designed on this vehicle. Now that we are actually in the driver's seat of this Pathfinder, I just want to go over a couple quick dimensions for these seats, for these front seats rather. Now, Nissan states from factory that this 2011 Pathfinder comes with 42.4 inches of front legroom and even 40 inches of front headroom and 58.3 inches of front shoulder room. That being said, there's definitely plenty of room in these front seats while you're driving. Now, Nissan actually states that these leather seats here are bucket style leather seats. Now, that's something that definitely made me laugh while I was researching this, because most car enthusiasts think of, when someone says bucket seats, they don't think of a slightly concave leather seat. They think of bucket racing seats. Now, obviously, that's not what these are. These are just, they just have a slight concave in the middle right here. Now, that being said, it is a very, very good design. Now, obviously, this vehicle is not very fast at all. It's not a sports car. It's not even a fast SUV like a Trackhawk or anything like that. But this concave definitely does make the seats a lot more comfortable, and it does just make the driving experience that much more better while you're in this vehicle. Now, we're definitely going to go take this thing for a spin in a quick second, but I did just want to mention one thing I know my parents absolutely love, and that is this option right here. Now, these two front seats are heated seats. Now, it offers two settings for both sides. Now, this is the passenger side, obviously, and this is the driver's side. Now, this low option, if you can see it right here, see it says high and low. This low option actually activates heaters right on the bottom of the seat where you'd be sitting, where, you know, most seat heaters are located. But this high option actually activates heaters that are located right in here, right where your lower back would be. Obviously, they're not turning on right now because the car is off. I really don't enjoy them that much. I know my dad absolutely loves them because he does do physical labor for a living, but I don't really enjoy them that much. I know there's a lot of hype around them, but yeah, if you have an opinion on heated seats, let me know down in the comments below. I really could not care less about them. Alright, so now I'm actually driving this Pathfinder, and yeah, I mean, I really enjoy driving this car. It's super easy to drive. For a, I guess, larger vehicle, it's not really too large, but for a larger vehicle compared to cars and such, I definitely think that if this is your starter vehicle, like you're learning on this vehicle, it's great. It's also a great family car. I would definitely recommend it. I know now, we bought this car back in 2014 or 2015, so it's a 2011, so it was like around 3 years old at the time, and we got it for a pretty cheap price. For, I think it had 20,000 miles on it then, and because I'm pretty sure the previous owner was he was in the Army, so he was out on deployment for most of the time that he had this vehicle. But when we got it, we were the second owner, but we were practically the first owner. I mean, it only had 20,000 miles on it. Right now it is sitting at 78,090 miles exactly, so it's just under 80,000 miles, and it's given us absolutely no problems. I mean, me and my father, we've replaced the brakes, basic maintenance, but nothing has catastrophically failed on us. There hasn't been a head gasket blown, a connecting rod snapped, the engine hasn't blown up at all. The transmission's still going fine. However, it is a Nissan, and I know Nissan typically, like their commuter cars, I guess, like Altimas, Maximas, Pathfinders, things of that nature, sorry, I know they typically have weaker transmissions on them, so we're definitely gonna keep an eye on that. But honestly, it's at 80,000 now. I do know that some of like the Altimas and Maximas, their transmissions typically tend to go when they're at like 90 to 130. I would have to say, I'm not entirely sure. If you know more about Nissans like that, Nissan cars like that, let me know in the comments below, because I'd actually love to know, because me and my dad don't know when this thing is gonna start giving us some problems. But honestly, it's been great, and that's been exactly what we've been doing. We've been almost looking for problems because it hasn't given us any. The suspension is fantastic. I mean, right now I'm kind of going over bumps. You can I guess you can tell, but I'm gonna take a corner right now going right around 40, and it just sticks to the road. And again, it's not a sports car, it's not crazy fast, but it's definitely very fun to drive. It's super easy to drive. I like to actually, there's a mode where it's a shiftable 5-speed, and it tells you right basically in the speedometer, not the tach, but it tells you what gear you're in, and you basically just use this shifter and go up and down, and it does the work for you. It's, I guess you can use it. I use it personally when I'm going up mountains, like if I'm on a highway or something, and because it is an automatic, and a lot of automatics tend to do this where they shift into higher gears just automatically. But they just do that because that's how they're tuned, or that's what the ECU is telling the transmission to do. And I like to actually switch it in that manual mode real quick when I'm going up a mountain, and just bump it down a gear, and it just gives you a little bit more torque. I'm sure, you know, that's a common thing that people do, and if you don't do it, I do suggest you do it. Now, that being said, don't, you know, if you don't know how to shift gears, don't like shift down twice and like try to get more torque and blow something. Like, don't blow your clutch and blame it on me because I said that, because that's just not what you should do. But one common thing that I know people do, and one thing that I do, is just shift down a gear when it's in automatic, because the ECU, especially if your foot's not on the throttle, the ECU is going to tell it to go into a higher gear because it's on a factory tune, and it's constantly looking to save fuel. It's basically just looking to be more fuel efficient and run more efficiently and not burn as much fuel. That's basically what it just comes down to. But yeah, right now I am sitting at 50, right around 50. I just went over a bump, that's a bad example. But yeah, right now I'm at 50, and there's no cabin noise at all. And there was another bump. That was just 2 little bridges. But yeah, this thing can easily cruise at 80, 85. Complete, like, super comfortable. Now, I grew up playing youth hockey, so I've been on a lot of road trips. It fit my entire hockey gear, my parents and I, and our dogs too, if we, you know, happen to take them. And it's comfortable. Now, that being said, it could get tight if you're moving a lot of stuff. Recently, me and my girlfriend, we just moved her, like, all the stuff in her dorm room to like a storage unit, and it was literally loaded to the gills. And in scenarios like that, obviously it's a lot more better to have something like an Armada, which is basically the same as Pathfinder, except it's got a V8 and it's just got more space in it. But if you're not, like, obviously this isn't a work truck or anything. If you're a contractor, if you have business or anything like that, I definitely would not suggest buying this truck, or buying this SUV rather, and expecting it to haul all your equipment day in and day out. But if you're looking for a family car that is cheap, that is very reliable, I would definitely go for a Nissan Pathfinder. I don't know how the newer ones perform, but I know that this model, and I'm pretty sure 2011 was the last year that they made this model, I could be wrong, but I know that this model has been extremely reliable for me. Very, very dependable. Very versatile. It's done a bunch of different things, and I've got a lot of fun memories in it. I mean, when I got my permit, this was basically the one vehicle that I was driving around everywhere, you know. But yeah, I mean, if you stick to the end, thank you. I know this definitely wasn't an exciting review by any means, but thanks a lot for the support, and like always, make sure, you know, you like, comment, subscribe. If you got a vehicle that you want me to do, if you got any questions, just put it down in the comments below. My email is going to be in the description. I'm going to put it at the end of this video as well. If you want to email me and have your vehicle reviewed by me, we could work something out. But if not, then I'll see you next time in the next video. And thank you for the support again.